Wedi's modular systems can be customized to create almost any shower configuration. Here, we'll create a custom-sized shower including a built-in bench, suspended bench, curb, wheelchair ramp, and a soap niche. There must be at least a 5-inch diameter hole surrounding the 2-inch drain pipe to accommodate the Wedi drain system. You'll need the 2-inch drain pipe extended above the subfloor. Here, we're showing you how you can then cut down the 2-inch pipe to 1/8 inch above the subfloor. We're using a drywall square as a gauge because they're approximately 1/8 inch thick. Make sure to clean the rough cut edges of the drain pipe. We now need to cut down a 5-foot by 7-foot base to fit this custom shower application. You'll see we're making a diagram by measuring the dimensions from each wall to the center of the drain location. We'll then transfer the measurements to the base. First, mark the center point of the uncut base on all sides. Now take your dimensions from the center of the drain and measure out to mark the edge of where the pan needs to be cut. It's a good idea to undercut your base 1/8 inch to allow for shimming. Do not exceed 1/8 inch. Any tool that cuts wood will easily cut all Wedi products. Here we're using a skill saw that has an adjustable guide for ease. This base required us cutting all 4 sides. As you see, this is a quick and easy process. Once the base is cut, you'll need to recut the 1/2 by 1/2 inch notch on all the perimeters. Do not skip this step or the system will not work. Readjust your saw blade depth to 1/2 inch deep and cut the top of all the straight base perimeters 1/2 inch inset from the base edges. You'll now roll the saw on its edge and use the guide to make the horizontal notch 1/2 inch down from the top surface. You can also make the cuts with a straight edge and razor knife if you don't have power tools. Assembling the drain body on the base will first require applying Wedi sealant to the lip on the drain hub on the top of the shower base, as demonstrated. Unscrew the outer and inner parts of the assembled drain. Insert the main portion of the drain body onto the top side of the base. Now turn the base over. Fit the rubber washer to the underside of the drain hub next to the fiber washer, and now you need to screw the large threaded nut to the bottom of the hub. Make sure to firmly tighten this down with both hands. Always do a dry fit in the shower space to ensure a proper fit. Mix up your modified thin set to the same consistency as you would for setting tile. This is a good time to clean up any excess sealant around the top of the drain assembly. Now, apply thin set to the underside of the shower base, making sure to have complete coverage to the whole pan using a 1/4 by 1/4 inch or 3/8 by 1/4 inch notch trowel. You'll also need to apply modified thin set to the floor. Be sure that you generously apply the thin set to the complete area and all the way to the side walls and up to the drain area. Trowel the thin set in straight channels in one direction toward the open entry side of the base. This allows a pathway for the air to escape. The base is now ready to fit into place. Compress the base into place by stomping on it. You should now be ready to insert the rubber drain gasket. The double bevel edge should be facing up. The gasket is going to be inserted between the 2-inch drain pipe and the inner drain assembly. This is a snug fit, and you need to fully press the gasket into place so the top side of the rubber gasket is below or flush to the top of the drain pipe. It's imperative that the gasket is not sitting above the 2-inch drain pipe. To set the gasket, twist the threaded nut into place and use the tightening tool provided with a screwdriver to firmly tighten and compress the gasket into place, creating the proper seal. The following diagram shows how to install the drain and gasket correctly. You'll notice in the second diagram that if the drain pipe is too low, you cannot correctly compress and seal the gasket. Take your time to ensure doing this right. Wedi wallboards are light and easy to work with. They can be easily cut with a razor knife. Make sure to cut all the way through the board to ensure you have a clean edge for a better seal when assembling. All vertical seams between the wallboard should be centered on a stud. Apply washer tabs starting 1 foot up from the base and continuing every 1 foot. You'll drive the screw into place far enough that you'll be compressing the board a bit, so the washer tab is slightly indented from the surface of the wallboard. Apply a continuous 1/2 inch bead of Wedi sealant to all edges before placing the next sheet and continue to screw the fasteners into place. Once your wallboards are installed, it's a good idea to trowel back the sealant from seams. The sealant starts to cure in about 30 to 60 minutes, depending on temperature. Continue the process of filling the base channel and install the wallboards. Place the washers over the seam between the boards to encourage a flush transition while using fewer fasteners. Always remember that the most crucial step with installing the Wedi shower system is to always apply sealant generously to the joints before joining the parts. Surface-applied joints will not work. Holes can easily be cut with a razor knife or hole saw drill bits to accommodate plumbing fixtures. We'll now install a Wedi pre-made soap niche. These are designed to go between 16-inch centered studs. Use the niche as a template for making your cut lines on the wallboard. Cut and remove the wallboard so it can receive the niche. Apply sealant to all 4 sides of the wallboard prior to inserting the niche into place. You also need to use fasteners on each side to secure the niche. Apply sealant to the surface joint and trowel flat. Mark where you want to install the adjustable niche shelf and apply sealant prior to installing the foam shelf. The sealant acts as a very strong adhesive and will secure the shelf in place. You also must apply surface sealant to all seams and trowel flat. Here, we're going to install a suspended corner bench by first marking the location. This bench is pre-constructed out of 2 layers of 2-inch wallboard and is faced with a layer of wallboard on the front edge. You'll want to generously apply sealant to the bench edge on the 2 sides being glued against the walls. Firmly press the bench into place. By applying more pressure, you're increasing the adhesion to hold the bench into place. For extra reinforcement, you'll want to apply mesh tape to the top seam, then skim coat modified thin set to the taped areas. Another layer of mesh tape is applied between the underside of the seat and the wall. You'll also want to apply more sealant to all inside corners of the complete shower system and trowel flat. This will act as a surface flashing in addition to the depth of seal between all parts. Use all excess sealant to cover all fasteners or apply with your sealant gun. Make sure all fasteners are completely covered, including the complete washer tab, so no metal is exposed. Constructing a custom built-in bench is easy using the Wedi 2-inch building panel. Using a skill saw or handsaw, cut 45-degree angles to the appropriate length. Here we've cut the 2-inch board to 18 inches tall for our desired bench height. Now we're using scraps also cut to 18 inches tall and gluing them into the back corner as a ledge support for the bench top we'll be installing. Apply sealant generously to the full edges at the jambs and sill. Now, fully compress the front panel into place firmly to gain good adhesion and seal. We're using mesh tape and thin set on the bottom joint as to allow the moisture from the cavity of the bench to escape through the thin set. It's easiest to dry fit the bench top to scribe the exact shape for your front cut. Now glue the top into place, and when it's in position, press the front edge down to create the appropriate top slope for water runoff. In essence, you're using the sealant as a wet shim to create the needed slope. Finally, apply your sealant to all edges and trowel flat. Now, you're ready to cut the full foam curb to fit. In this case, we're going to make a 90-degree return to the outside of the pan to accommodate the Wedi wheelchair ramp we're using at the entry. This ramp is cut to length using a razor knife or saw. We'll need to cut back the Wedi foam curb return to properly nest the ramp. You always want a horizontal sealant joint between the curb and pan and curb to ramp. Do a dry fit to ensure a proper fit. Now you will want to thin set the subfloor so it's ready to receive the ramp and curb. You'll also want to apply thin set to the underside of the curb parts and the ramp prior to installing. Be sure that no thin set is in the area where sealant will be joining all the parts, because thin set in this area will allow moisture to wick through and leak. Apply a large bead or two of sealant to the edges you're joining to the base. Also, apply Wedi sealant to the wallboard to receive the curb and ramp, and a bead on the base edge. Firmly press the ramp and curb parts into place. Apply more sealant to the 45-degree cut edge of the curb and install the last curb part. A final surface sealant joint will be applied to all inside corners and troweled flat. As you can see, Wedi is highly customizable, and once you learn how to use all the many Wedi products, you'll be able to create highly custom showers that are 100% watertight. In just a few hours, you're ready for tiling.